Welcome to everyone. My name is Josh and I'm going to be your presenter today. It is 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about a few things before we get started on our topic at hand here today. If you've never attended a webinar before, click the little red arrow at the top of your control panel. There allows you to minimize the webinar control panel, get it out of your way. If you have questions for me, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those. If I can't answer them during the event, I'll certainly be happy to stick around and see what I can't do to answer them after the event is concluded here. I'm going to work till about 1:20, no later than that, again in the interest of being respectful of your time. We are recording this event today, and so it will be available on our webinar control panel here, or on our webinar support center page of our website here at some point in the next couple of weeks or so. So you can review that then. Okay. We are working out of workbook M101 today, pages 22 to 30. We're kind of doing a series of these events here. So yesterday was on families, today's on individuals and the individual record in the new membership version 20. So again, if you have the M101 workbook, this is on pages 22 to 30 as our basis of the event. If you don't have the workbooks, you can download those from our website, of course. You can purchase them there. Very affordable. They are very helpful, especially when used in conjunction with these webinars, which we do design by choice. We really do try to construct our webinars around these workbooks as much as possible to kind of present a very thorough through line for our users and their understanding of the software. Okay, so let's go ahead. Here we are. We're on our version 2017.2 right here on the upper right, 2017.2. So we've had a couple of patches for this version here. We're going to go into membership. And as we've probably explained over previous events or before, is we no longer have the option separate databases, one called members, one called visitors. We simply have one large database now simply called people. Okay, that's where we go into when we're wanting to see our individuals and our families in our database. If we want to have an identification, or in this case a categorization, then that is set up under here called categories, family category, visitor, member, what have you. So, if you decide, hey, we want to have our church have categories other than members and visitors, then you can set up as many categories as you wish to categorize your families into. Okay? So that's just an important place to start. So families require not only families records but individuals. So over here, where our line is drawn is right here. So over here on the left-hand side, we've got our family record. Over here on the right, as we've traditionally done, we've got our individual information. Okay? So when we're wanting to add an individual, it starts with finding the family first. So if we go, okay, we're going to type in West. I type in here under my person lookup. I'm finding my West family in this case, and notice now once I find one person in that family, it then jumps me to that particular family that those people are in. Okay, so I found my family. When I want to add a person to a family, I have to click the button right up here at the very top called Add Individual. Okay? Hopefully everybody should be able to see my drawing there, my circle. So when I click on Add Individual, notice it's leaving those members of the West family in the family household record on the left with their family information there on the left. And it adds in a fourth individual here. So it populates with the same last name, and we're going to just type in Baby West. Okay? And then I'm going to simply click Save. So here we are again. We're going to kind of talk a little bit more about this. We don't have a whole lot of time, so we're going to kind of move through this stuff fairly quickly. Following fields are required: directory/report order. So once I click on that, basically what that's telling me is it's not going to save the record until I populate this required field. We do have now what are called required fields in membership. Okay, so I click OK on that. I click the drop-down menu. I'm going to choose 3 child with family. Now I should be able to be permitted to click Save. Folks, you can set up as many required fields as you wish. You just have to be prepared. That's one that Church Windows requires, but if you want to make certain fields required before saving, you can certainly do that under your customizing of your fields. So now when I click Save now, it saves that with Directory Report Order of Child with Baby West, and it now adds it to my list of individuals within the West family there. Okay? So, this, it's, again, for those of you that are coming from the prior version, which probably most folks are here, these screens are not really technically that much removed from the prior, Church Windows, the old membership in version 19 and earlier. You still got the, first name, nickname, middle name, last name fields, title, all of those things are just, again, more information that you can record and set up about people. If we enter a nickname for them, do we want their nickname to be used on reports instead of, say, their first name? We can check that. Is there a suffix, junior, what have you? Okay. And then over to the right of our suffix field, and I like to point this out to folks, is it's not quite as relatively apparent as it was before, but we've got family number 27, and over here on the right next to our suffix, we've got our individual number. So right here, Baby West has been added to the household number 27 as the person number 4 in the family. Okay. So as we click on other Olivia West, hers is 27.3, etc. Okay. Below our name information here, where it says individual fields, and I'm talking about individual fields. We got our customized fields. These below here and over to the right-hand side are the variety or the list of information fields that are available for us to be able to enter information about an individual. Okay. Again, the only one that in this case that we've set up as required as part of our database is the one called Directory Report Order. Okay. The system automatically populates things like last update or date created, who it's created by. In this case, provided you have logins and username information that is scheduled or that is set up to enter into the software. The system will automatically populate that information. So in this case, I have a universal login. I don't have a username and password, but based on me adding that, it puts in last update and date created is the same date. If I come back in and make further changes to Baby West's record at some point, then it will update my last update date range. Also, we can have the system over here on our, again, in our list of individual and personal information fields, we've got the show and scheduler. So if I want that person to be available to assign to respective duties or to events in my scheduler module, I can, of course, check that there as well. Again, I think this stuff is fairly straightforward. On the top of page 24 of our workbook, so I'm being asked a question, is the family number the same as the giver number in donations? That's a great question, Patty. No. The family number is assigned in Church Windows systematically and is in no way tied to an envelope or giver number in donations. Great question. So we notice here, that when we click on, say, Jack or Jen, mom and dad in the family, we steer our focus over here to the right-hand side, and we notice that neither one of them have a giver number. Okay. Many churches still use giver numbers, albeit we do like to make sure that we're crystal clear right off the bat that donations, Church Windows doesn't require a giver number to be assigned in order to record giving. Okay, giving is not tied to a envelope or giver number anymore. It's tied to a person's record. Okay. So if your church chooses not to use envelope numbers or doesn't use envelopes in any way, the software doesn't require it. Okay, but if you do, you can certainly set them up in either through donations or through our membership module as we're adding folks or as we have them. Okay, as the top of page 24 indicates, using giver numbers is optional in donations in Church Windows, and And again, numbers are simply a way for us to be able to organize, or if you have envelopes that you distribute to your members and visitors, to keep track of those. Okay. So when I want to, let's say I do want to assign a number to Jack and Jen West. So simply, if I click on the little, I click on the person's record that I'm wanting. If I click, I've got a couple of options here. I can show their donations. I can show their pledge information. And then over here, I can use managed giver numbers. So if I click on the little hashtag or pound sign there, it opens up Jack West, manage numbers, and allows me to click the button here at the very top center called add new number. Okay. Everybody should be able to see my drawing there. So then I would simply click add new number. I would then, I go, wait a minute, I don't know what numbers I have available. So I can click cancel. Right up here in the upper right hand corner, I've got the one called list numbers right here. Okay. So I don't need to go in and go into donations to get that list of numbers. I can click on list numbers here. It opens that up. I have to have permissions to get into at least read-only status in donations, of course. But then here I would choose unassigned numbers in the range, and I'd go, okay, I'm going to look at my list 1 through, say, 100, and simply click print, and then it should open up my list of available numbers. Let me get rid of my highlighter here. And I've got all these numbers here ranging between 1 and 100. Not all of them, but just I can pick any one of these. Can't pick it from this list. But I go, oh, okay, I didn't know number 1 is available. We'll go ahead and assign Jack number 1. So we'll then click OK. We'll click Add New Number. We'll type in number 1. It will backdate it to 1/1 of 2018. I can make that any date I wish, again, assuming it's not already assigned. So I'll make it 1/1 of 18. Click OK. And we're going to tell the system that Jack gives with that number Jack is giving with the family. So this says this will transfer Jack West's giver number to the family. Click yes. So there it shows Mr. and Mrs. Jack West. Now I would simply click under Jen West, click the pound sign again, simply click gives with family. It is popping up and saying this will permanently delete all pledges for Jan West. To these pledges will be applied to any existing family pledges. We're going to click yes because that's what we want to do. So now it shows number 1 for her and for him. So now when we click on both Jack and Jen, both of them now show number 1. Okay? So you can assign the envelope numbers from either donations or from membership, either way, whatever works best for you. And also, by the way, yes, on page 25, it talks about, receive statement. While you're at that manage numbers window, you can also verify that the receive statement is checked. It should be by default, but if you're if you're unsure, go ahead and check that and click on that and make sure that that receive statement box is in fact checked. It should be. It should be by default. The question I'm being asked now is the last giving date provided by donations? Yes, I believe that is true, Lisa. I can't say succinctly. Frankly, I just realized that was there. But yes, that would seem to correspond. That would make sense to me that would correspond with the date of their last gift. All right, so we're kind of moving on here fast onto page 26 here. We're talking about other additional information fields here. Family relation. All of these folks that have arrows, down arrows, are what we call list fields. They're ones that basically you can customize. You can add codes to them. Like family relation here, we see a list of family relation codes. It simply shows over here on the right-hand side under family relation what that person's relationship in the family is. So if we go to Baby West, we would choose family relation and we would say child here. Let me find that. Where is it? Child. And then once I save that, it now populates under the child with family relation here for Baby West on the left. Okay. Again, include on directory is required by Church Windows and as a way of organizing the family unit. Again, it's required in Church Windows. Basically, each person will have one primary in the family. So here we have Jack, he's primary. When we click on Jen, she's the secondary. Any child is labeled as child. And then, based on how maybe we want them to be listed in the directory, we might use options 4 and 5. If, say, we've got somebody that wants to have their own separate listing in the directory, separate from everyone else, or if we want to have the family, inverted with our primary and secondary, flip-flopped, would be primary, secondary separately. But definitely code one person as one is secondary, and then any children as child. Okay. That's detailed at the top of page 27 there on our workbook that shows and explains what each one of those directory report order codes do. And yes, of course, I would want to try to populate with as many of these as I possibly can. Okay. Our status code is the status as it relates to the person's relationship with the church. Some of you may have ones called something like, UMC status, report status, or Presbyterian report status. But you'll also have this one simply called status code, which is one that Church Windows creates. Whichever one you choose to do, you want to be consistent with it. So here, again, as a list field, we have active member, associate, inactive. Again, list fields can be customized, but again, it identifies the real person's relationship with the church. We used to have what's called a field over here on the right. Used to be called reason for termination, but it has now been changed to inactive. So, one of the most important things we have to keep in mind about this is that changing a person's status code here only changes their relationship as it shows on our reports. If the person is no longer with the church for whatever reason, then you're going to want to use this field called inactive, formerly called reason for termination. Okay? The nice thing about the new version 20 is before in the old version we used to have to check inactive for everybody if a whole family left the area. However, if we now in version 20 have a family that leaves, we now can do this option in the upper left on the family record called Make Family Inactive. So when we click on that, let me get back to my regular drawing tool, click on that. It then says this will make all active members of the family inactive and will assign them the reason and the dates below. So I can simply choose, left area and enter a date and click OK, and that will systematically inactivate all of our records and hide them from our active database. Okay. So inactive date, so if we do have one person who we want to inactivate as opposed to the whole family, we can. So we can go, okay, Olivia West, she's now inactive. I can then I have to check that inactive box, do, withdrawn, enter the date if I wish, and again click save in the top left, at the top center. Okay? It's an awful lot of information, folks, to cover in 20 minutes. I know we're running short here. I'm sorry. But these fields kind of become pretty self-explanatory the more you kind of look at them. Birth date. If you don't populate a birth date, over here on the left-hand side, we notice here that we've got age next to Jack, Jen, and Olivia, but nothing left to baby because we don't have a birth date entered. And age only populates on our reports and is available when a birth date is entered. Okay? So if I want to enter that for baby West, I've got to come down here, find, click on there. I've got to enter a birth date of, let's say, 11/7/2017. Once I now click save, it now shows up here next to baby West and minus less than 1 on there. Okay. School grade is, again, a child's actual academic school grade for kids. While we traditionally have K through 12 listed in here and graduate, if you wish to add more school grades to the list, you may certainly do so. Okay. If I wish to scroll through my records, I can simply click over here and then just click my next button, and that just scrolls through moves between my family records. Okay. If I wish to delete an individual, I highlight it. Okay, so if I click on Jack here and try to click delete individual, it's going to pop up and say, Jack West has giving and cannot be deleted. Mark this person as inactive to prevent them from appearing on reports. Okay, so I have to only inactivate them. Baby West, however, is something different now. Okay, so I can highlight Baby West, click on Delete Individual, and it'll pop up and it'll warn me, hey, are you sure you want to do this? All data associated. If I wish to do that, I would simply check the box and click yes, and that will remove that record. Remove that record from our database. Okay. And also, finally, folks, again, it's a real whirlwind tour here. You've got your person lookup, where again you can search by name. But don't forget you've got these other tabs across the top. We're not going to get into them in detail, but I set up and identify a person's groups and classes, their skills and interests, addresses, alternate address information, comments, and even a photo across the top there. Okay, so we can assign either individual families or we can assign a photo to the family for the family photo if we wish. All right, so again, out of the interest of being gone a little bit long here, about a minute or so, so let me get back and see what questions we've got here. So if Jen is moved to the family giving unit, is her personal giving history lost? No, Susan, that's a good question. It just gets tied into the family statement. All of the family, all of the givings, all the transactions that were posted to Jen still wind up showing up on her individual record. Good question. Can giving statements go out via email? Yes, they can. Terry, you can find more on the Support Center about that simply by going to the Support Center and typing in email. If you need to do a change of an address, do you have to change the family and individual? Well, Melva, that's a good question, but it depends on where it is. I mean, if you've got an address, if you have an alternate address, alternate addresses for individuals versus family are different. So it depends on what you have entered. But if you've got individual alternate addresses, you would have to come in here and change those. Or if you've got a family alternate address or a family, you would have to change it there. But the family address is common to everybody. No, that's a good question. If we have not updated yet and have individual fields that are not listed by your example, will the new version transfer over what you already have as individual fields? Yes, Heather, that's a great question. Yes, all of your fields as you see them in your current version will be converted over once you be upgraded essentially once you install version 20. Great question. Where do I distinguish between professing member or constituent? That, Lisa, sounds like it's a denominational version, but probably it would be over here under your individual fields, and it would probably again be called, UMC report status or Presbyterian report status or something. And again, like our status code, it would be a down arrow, and you would see those various codes in there that you could choose from. Previously, reason for termination was applied when someone died, deactivated giver records. Can we inactivate a deceased person and leave giver information for the family? If I understand the question correctly, Terry, I believe, yes, the answer to that is yes. I can still inactivate or /terminate them, but all the giving, as long as they're as giving as a family, all of the giving will still show up on the statement for the family, including the giving for the terminated record. You still need to inactivate just like you would normally. Can you give an example of what the special character would be used for? Sure. Special character is basically would be when we want to denote something on, like, say, we want to say that those with an asterisk on our directory are active members of the church. That's a great question. You assigned giver number 1 to Jack and family, but giver number now shows 301. No, it shows 1. So Pam, I'm not sure what you're seeing there, but no, it still shows up as giver number 1 right over here. So I click on, Olivia has 310. The child does. She gives separately from mom and dad. Yeah. So 310 is assigned to Olivia, their child. She gives separately from mom and dad, so her number is different. Can a family be put in more in one category? Well, no. Unfortunately, Sarah, no. The category is assigned to the family, so we can only assign a family one category at any given time. Good question. Yes, Wilma. Yeah, I answered that question earlier. All current data should upgrade onto the version 20, no problem when you install that. Can you touch on include on directory also? Can I add my own options for directory report order? Yeah, unfortunately, Eunice, that's a hard-coded field. So this is, again, a field that Church Windows uses. So no, we can't add more. Notice there's no the plus or minus with the slash in the middle there. So no, we can't customize that. But again, it simply organizes the family unit for Church Windows. That's pretty much as kind of simple as I can put it. It definitely organizes the family unit, certainly for directories and for reports. Status code is currently being used for active or non-active members without termination. Family position now being called status. You have changed active to equals terminated, which means removal from the visible database. What happens when I upload the updated version? Yeah, Mary, all this will change automatically. The field called reason for termination will simply switch over to inactive, but everybody else that was inactive in your database will still remain inactive and still be there. When is Church Windows hoping to have everyone upgraded to version 20? We are still on version 19. I'm not sure about that. Kari, please call us if you have questions. That's, again, as a technician and a trainer, I don't know when that's going to occur. It may be that we already have and you just didn't get the email or something with that. Please call us. We'll be happy to talk with you about that. Just let them know when they answer the phone that you're asking about when you're going to be upgraded. You don't have a field for current status codes to transfer to. Yeah, we do. It's called status code right up here. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but it's called status code right there. So yeah, it's there. What other kinds of categories can you have besides members and visitors? Well, that's a good question, Sarah. Well, you decide that. Church Windows doesn't, but you could have one. Like commonly, I'll say, recommend maybe a good use of one would be adding one B for businesses. So if you want to add businesses to your database, you could certainly set one up there, but you decide. Yeah, it's, we just don't want to restrict folks to just members and visitors like we did. We had lots of folks asking us, can I set up a different, identification for families other than members and visitors? And we now can through that category identification. What if different individuals have different statuses, dad member, mom's a visitor? That's a good question, Melanie. Yes, you can, of course, have one person set up with, not everybody has to have the same status. So if I have Jack set up as active and then, say his spouse is a visitor, I can simply give her a visitor status code. Good question. But no, they don't have to all be the same. The new status codes replaced family position. I'm sorry, Mary, I've never been aware of a field in the software called family position. That may be something that's unique in your database. That'd be something that you'd have to contact us directly through support and talk to one of our technicians about. Again, I've never seen a field in Church Window called family position. That may be something that's unique to your data. Yeah, you folks, you can customize Church Windows. We're not here to talk about that, but you can add a whole variety of fields that you track for your database that's unique to you and your church. Other churches may not have that. So, okay, we've gone quite long. I hope we got all the questions answered for everybody here. It's just me answering them, so I'm sorry. Okay, Melva, yeah, again, we used to have a parochial report area. Yeah, again, I'm not sure what that means. Please call us on support. We'll be happy to talk about it with you. Yeah, folks, some of these questions are specific to your particular database and your setup. I can't answer it intelligently on here because I just don't know. Yeah, again, please call us under support if you have questions. We're happy to talk with any of you about it. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. Again, I apologize for going a little long. Appreciate you sticking around. We'll have this video out on our website here sometime within the next couple of weeks. And again, our support staff will look forward to hearing from you if you have any further questions about it whatsoever. All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.